Greetings, family, and welcome back to the Learning Channel. We're here to talk about artificial intelligence and weapons of mental destruction. We are mid-year, almost 2026, and we see how artificial intelligence has been pushed, but it's also a problem as it's being pushed, dealing with how people are learning, and the educational system is in bad shape. So, let's start with a question. You probably have received information in your email, like I got a randomly sent email request asking about, do I want to chat with Chat GPT? Says you do not need a plan or the perfect question to use Chat GPT. Just start typing whatever on your mind, a half-baked idea, a random question, a weird what if. Chat GPT is built for all of it. So you have a system that's trying to create your mind to be manipulated and to state whatever it is the system wants you to say, not what you want to say. No pressure, no perfect prompts. Explore ideas, create images, write stories, and summarize files on just a simple conversation. This is dangerous because that means the individual themselves are not thinking. So this just randomly came to my email. So what does Chat GPT even stand for? It stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Generative. So some activity, pre-trained, so you're already somebody's inputting information about this so it can lead the computer to follow it. Transformer. Now it's going to now reveal what it is that you're actually exploring. You are being manipulated by a bot that is like not even a real person, which is a neural network trained on a very large amount of text to produce a convincing human-like language output of data. And we know now the computer can be faster than the human mind, perhaps. We know a calculator can be used to calculate things that the mind may not be able to do. We're talking about how bots, that is, computer-generated people and ideas, can manipulate society, and it's not even a real person. That's a problem. So generative pre-trained transformer is not the best in terms of growth and development, but for manipulation and controlling, it's perfect. So, once upon a time, there were black people, says AI, that is artificial intelligence. Now, there's a column there. They're at Karnak Temple in Kemet. You see the gigantic column. You see the massive structure on top of the column. Do you see the little person in the image? The little person is me thinking about how they built this. How did they create this column and put this gigantic block on top of it? My goodness. Well, if you ask Chat GPT, guess what? It can't answer it. Also, when you think about the issue of black people and you think about time, people are trying to erase pigmented, melanin dominant black people like they never created anything. How does that happen? Because people write books on topics that relate to how people can be manipulated. So I have this as ignorance is strength because that's one of the profound mottos that comes from the book 1984 by George Orwell. Ignorance is strength. And so a contemporary book, these books are written around like 2021 by Jared Sexton called American Rule, How a Nation Conquered the World but Failed its people. You see what's going on right now in America. My, oh my, people don't have health care, don't have access to good gas, reasonable gas, food prices are going up. The government has failed its people. Look at this other book, Minds Wide Shut, How the New Fundamentalism Divides Us. We're talking about the whole evangelistic mentality, how MAGA was able to create a certain mentality of people, oh, I'm going to vote for this white man named Trump. And here you now have that person that you voted for destroying your independence, your sovereignty, your opportunity to just live peacefully. So this book called Minds Wide Shut is a clear example of how we're being manipulated and controlled. So who controls your thinking? Well, think tanks make this happen via organizations. So check this out. The Heritage Foundation is conservative. Hoover Foundation or the Hoover Institution is conservative. The Cato Institute is conservative. The Hudson Institute is conservative. So the one that created this Project 2025 is called the Heritage Foundation. We have to know the names. We have to know the people. We have to understand these organizations that are not in the best interest of society to be moving forward, but to actually now create a situation of people being controlled and enslaved again. So the Brookings Institution is known as a liberal-leaning think tank, so not conservative like those others. But this conservatism is a problem when we start analyzing who's in control of things. Look at this. One of the organizations I had was the Hoover Institute. A board member and fellow of that institute is Peter Thiel. He's a puppet master. Why? Because he spent money to get this guy named Junior Varsity Vance to be the vice president of the United States. So Thiel is a billionaire, and he is dangerous because he is a threat to democracy and our independence. So he is the one that was able to fund this candidate called J.D. Vance to be represented in the government, even though they may not necessarily support the thinking of Donald Trump. So we become more, let's say, we need to understand the people who are involved in our demise. This guy's name is Kevin Roberts. Look, you heard of, I don't know, football players. Let's see, Emmitt Smith, Joe Montana. Okay, so I'm at my age. Okay, let's fast forward. Tom Brady. You heard of basketball players? Let's go old school. Walt Frazier, Bernard King. Because the Knicks are doing some things in 2026. But basketball players, LeBron James, you really know all these names of these sports figures. We don't know nothing about the people who are manipulating society. This guy's name is Kevin Roberts. Again, say it again, Kevin Roberts. Again, say it again, Kevin Roberts. He is the enemy. He studied you. His dissertation was on slavery. But who is this guy named Kevin Roberts? He is somebody who pushed Project 2025. That's what's going on in this day and age right now, where you have the government being totally against the people. So he's an influencer. So he's part of this Project 25. Look, his dissertation was called Slaves and Slavery in Louisiana. What's a man who's in MAGA world studying that? The evolution of Atlantic world identities from 1791 to 1831. And you remember Nat Turner did his deal around the 1830s. Nat Turner, what? Killed the slave master and all them plantation owners who were doing the wrong stuff to African people. This brother is studying that time period. His dissertation is focused on black people and their progress. Maybe not progress, but the cultural implications of what black people are. So he's studying black people. So guess what? He's an academic con artist because he used what he studied about black people, talking about how matriarchy or the matrilineal line was important for black people. Guess what? Try to create situations where you could eliminate the black woman in the household. Not household, but having control, job, manipulation. So he studied this stuff. So we now don't know the names. Again, remember Kevin Roberts. Remember Peter Thiel. Remember all these people behind the scenes that are manipulating things. So there's another think tank called the Brookings Institution. The president is John Allen. Not sure if he's still the president, but look at this. He talked about a blueprint for the future of AI. So AI can be advantageous or can be problematic. In 2018, 2019, a series from the Brookings Institution that analyzes the new challenges and potential policy solutions introduced by AI and other emerging technologies. So again, this blueprint, like blueprint for the conference we created, Pigment Power, or Project 2025. So these ideas are being thought out by think tanks. In this series, scholars from across Brookings examine the impact of AI on their field of study. From the risk of K-12 student placement algorithms to geographical disparities in the automation revolution, Brookings scholars unpack the opportunities and unintended consequences of emerging technologies. I'm telling you, I'm a university professor. I see the students are not prepared. Where does that start, though? Is it the home? Is it the system? Is it the school? What is the person? Whatever, we have a problem we need to focus on. Teachers are not the problem. Look at this. From that blueprint study by the Brookings Institution, it says, what will be the implications for how we educate, train, and develop teachers? Well, a discussion on the impact of AI on education will point dramatically to those who facilitate the process in our schools. Principals, teachers, administrators, that is. The very term teacher may be insufficient to adequately capture the role of this key individual in the educational experience. Now look, I showed videos in class. I showed videos to highlight something specific in the science topic I was talking about. I showed it. I said, hey, how do you like that? They liked it. Would you like that to replace me so you learned? Oh, no. They still prefer to have the didactic experience of dealing with a person, communicating, rather than just looking at the video. So the system right now is focused on technology, so you're not looking at a video. So this next slide, beyond the teaching, look at the classroom. What will AI-based classrooms look like? With AI, every aspect of the traditional learning environment is up for reimagining. So the classroom, with AI, every aspect of the traditional learning environment is up for reimagining. Will the classroom continue to be a physical space, or instead will it be a virtual space using network augmented or virtual reality technologies? This is problematic. In the classroom now, all the space in the writing for the board is gone. Gone because of monitors that have been pushed up to replace that to show videos, the PowerPoint, images. So it can't even write on a board to show you calculations or the synthetic pathways of certain chemicals. So the classroom is problematic. Guess what? I'm at the university level. Teachers at the, oh my goodness, middle, elementary, high school are definitely complaining. So look at this. Listen to this.
Well, what's the answer to that? I don't know. I think we need to throw those Chromebooks in the garbage. First thing. I think parents should have to come to school twice or three times a year and sit with their child all day. We have to have some accountability. There has to be a consequence for their actions. There isn't any. We've learned the most dangerous thing in history of man is empathy. When we start to say, well, they've got a hard home. Well, they've got problems that, they can't handle. Well, they're just, mom is a bitch. Well, I mean, they can't see, they're special ed and they don't understand. We have turned empathy into a weapon. And consequently, the government, I believe, is doing everything in its power to dissolve education. A new teacher, for instance, a friend, just passed the certification test. She can't become a teacher. She still has to pass a PPR, which is kind of like, are you stable enough to be a teacher? Then you have to go through 90 hours of education, of which she'll be charged $500 a month. For what, really? To sit in a classroom and be disrespected? To sit in a classroom and realize there is no honor? To sit in a classroom that the entitlement is over the top? I don't know. Make your comments. What do you think? Where are we going?
It is time to bring back notebooks, real notebooks. I don't know where your kids go to school, but I cannot do this Chromebook bullshit anymore. My child does not learn by reading on a computer. My child does not learn by taking quizzes on a computer. My child does not learn by just working in a computer 24/7. I understand the need to teach technology to this next generation. I really do. But I think we have lost a lot of what made us great before. Like, I don't know, writing, because my kid doesn't know how to write. He's 11. He can barely write. Typing and writing are two different things. Do not try to tell me that they are the same thing. Our kids need to write to remember things. Some people need to read to remember things. Some people need to speak to remember things. There are different ways to learn, and we are just shoving a screen in front of our kids and expecting them to be smart. And I will tell you something, I see a lot of kids as a mother. They are not very bright. Nope, not even a little bit.
So if you don't know, I teach high school English, English 1 and English 3 specifically. And my biggest pet peeve right now, and I've seen it become such a problem lately, is let's say I give out a quiz to my kids, and there's a passage or something they have to read on said quiz. And the questions are about the thing that they have to read. So the answers are in the passage. They take the quiz. They don't do great. I feel like I failed as a teacher. I feel bad, so I sit down with them. Buddy, why'd you struggle on this quiz? What was hard about it? What was difficult? What'd you find hard to understand? And they look me dead in my eyes and they say, I'll be honest, I didn't read the passage. What do you mean you didn't read the passage? That's step 1. And they're like, well, I read the first paragraph and it was really long, so I didn't read the rest. Oh my gosh, just read it. And they're like, yeah, but it's a lot. But you're going to fail if you don't. Yeah, but I'll be okay. Like, it's just a regular grade. I'm trying to give it to you. Just read the passage. That's my new pet peeve this year, is the kids just won't read it. And they'll just guess on the questions and then they go, whoops, I failed. That's what they do. I don't understand it. I don't get it. So parents, teachers, we got to get the kids to read. Read the passage, answer the questions, get a good grade. Mind-blowing.
Now, that is just one video that's about 50 minutes long about teachers throughout the United States complaining about the educational environment. So if that's what's coming out of high school, at the university level, it's even worse. So we have a problem in the educational system under this current administration. Doesn't even care. You got somebody who's the Worldwide Wrestling Federation champion, not champion, but people who ran the WWF wrestling running education. They don't care about you. So mind control and news. So mind control. So when we're talking about artificial intelligence and mental destruction, talking about how our perceptions can be controlled by how the media is manipulating things. So perception and pattern recognition, key to control. That's how artificial intelligence works. It knows what you've typed, what you've searched, what you inputted. Therefore, it's going to now feed you the same information. So optimal choices guide behavior. So that's why they want to know exactly what you're thinking, so they can now guide you to what, buy something, purchase something, think in a certain way. The invention of human intelligence. Now look, intelligence is a reified term. Reified means something that's made to be real, but it doesn't really exist. Because you can all have your own definition of intelligence. So what is intelligence? And can computers have intelligence? Computers will become so intelligent that humans will be lucky to be kept as pets one day. So all these movies and stories and thoughts about how AI is controlling things and then you can't control it because it knows you and thinking better than you, that possibility is there. So this book called Algorithms Are Not Enough, Creating General Artificial Intelligence by Herbert Pathlot is really something that's important to know because algorithms drive what we're seeing on the media. So when you see things, what are you really perceiving? What is the perception? So what do you see in the image right there? I'm asking you that question. On your left side there, what does the image look like? A goblet, something that you put water in or wine in and you drink? Is that now an upside down goblet on the other side? Well, in both places, it could be a person kissing on the left or the right. I'm telling you that, I'm saying that, but you might not be able to see it. Some people can, some people can't. So that's all we're talking about, perception. Some people perceive things in their own way from how their mind's been constructed. Now look, artificial intelligence in this new discussion is contemporary. But look at what our ancient African ancestors used to do without thinking about computers, but studying the cosmos, the brain, and the human body. This is a cadaver with the brain open, and you can see inside the brain the same images that are there in the brain look like what we can call the third eye. There's the thalamus, corpus callosum, there's the cerebellum, there's the brainstem leading up to the pons. So all these images here pertain to a certain place in the body, but the brain. So there's the sagittal section of the brain, and you see the images of certain structures, like there's the thalamus right there, dead center. There's the pineal gland. There's the colliculi, superior and inferior colliculi. Then you have the pons right here. So all these images are deep within the brain, and those images can now be visualized into African concepts of knowledge, like the Eye of Haru. So the Eye of Haru, you see that, really is a representation of the brain, because that's what the Africans were looking at. So there you see the what? Corpus callosum. There you see the what? Thalamus. See the hypothalamus on these sides here. See the pons, again the cerebellum. So these are all replications of what you see there in the cross section of the brain. Now, our ancient African ancestors looked at this scientifically with the third eye and divided it into fractions. So when you divide these fractions up, you are going to be missing 1/4 of that fraction. So the fractions add up to 1/2 equals 0.5, kind of makes sense. 1/4 equals 0.25. You add all those fractions together, 1/64, you get a fraction of 0.01565. Now, 63/64 is a number, 0.984375. But if you now look at the missing fraction, that's what's the science behind this Eye of Haru is. It's not complete. The fractions are symbols derived from the myth that Haru's eye was torn apart by Set, his uncle, and reunited by Thoth, the goddess of wisdom and the messenger god. The sum of the successive unity will always fall short of unity. What is the missing fraction? It's 1/64th that's always missing from this calculation. Hey, science. They were studying on a whole different level. And we can be manipulated by science with the wrong information being presented. This is an AI altered information, an example of how it can be manipulated. On the left side there, you see Free Your Mind. This is a lecture by Naeem Akbar. My goodness, that's not the Naeem Akbar I know because his head a little bit different. It's like shaped a little bit different, like AI constructed something differently. He's talking about the de-niggerization of the black mind. Okay. Now you look at a real image. This is me along with Brother Naeem Akbar. That image of his head is not that big and it's not that, it doesn't look like him. This becomes problematic because he also shared with me this image someone had on their website about major thinkers in black psychology. The first one here is Naeem Akbar. That is not Naeem Akbar. The second one is Francis Cress Wellesley. That is not Francis Cress Wellesley. The second name here is Amos Wilson. That is not Amos Wilson. And the last one there is Linda James Myers. That is not Linda James Myers. So AI can sometimes lead you the wrong way. You have to be careful. You have to be discerning to be able to understand what's really going on in society. So, from ChatGPT, a colleague that I don't know contacted me. I didn't know if it was real or artificially generated. But the person shared information about me and knew about my work. Is this real or is this artificial intelligence? So, yes, I may be well recognized internationally. Some people I know, some people I don't know. People reach out. I'm not sure if they're legit or not. And so here we have this person who I did contact and they are legit, but I'm just giving an example of how AI can be manipulated and sometimes it can lead you down a rabbit hole going the wrong way with the wrong people. AI can't create this. AI can't build a pyramid. At the top of those pyramids are black capstones. All those rocks, all those monuments, that is not artificial intelligence. That is the real deal. So we're trying to look at artificial intelligence as something currently, but the AI mechanisms can create their own pyramid. Human effort did that. At the top of those pyramids is this capstone that's happened to be black. Those pyramids were used as generating items or infrastructure to create energy for the community. So at the top is black, which absorbs. It made that strong essence from the very top for it to be generated down to the base of the pyramid. There's the outside of the pyramid on the left side, how large those blocks are. Who transports that? How does that happen? Inside the pyramid, who creates a channel and in the corridor that is open inside the pyramid? How does that even happen? Artificial intelligence can't do that. Deep, deep in the king's chamber, hot granite. A sarcophagus is also in there. It's hot. Who creates this? Those blocks weigh tons. How do you now construct an entity like this? Artificial intelligence can't do that. There I am in a temple with the light shining through a hole, and I'm acting like Star Trek, like beam me up. On the other side there, you see Hor-Im Akhet. You call it the Sphinx, because it's a Greek term for Hor-Im Akhet, horizon on the horizon. You see the image of an African in the image looking just like we are, with our prognathism image of the cheekbones going forward to black people. That image is black. We can't deny that. Artificial intelligence might even tell you that those aren't Europeans that created that. I know a lot about this because I studied under great Jegnas, that is Naeem Akbar there on your left, and Brother Wade Nobles. These brothers brought me to my first trip to Africa in Ghana. Why in Ghana? I got a chance to go to the location where the W.E.B. Du Bois was actually buried. Because he died in Ghana in the March on Washington in 1963. So Du Bois was a strong African black scientist. He actually went to Atlanta University. He came there twice. He came, he left, and came back. So I feel connected to the brother because I did the same thing at the university system there in Atlanta. So in sum, I have done some research. I've studied science, vitamin D, melanin. I'm just sharing this with you because when they had the pandemic and the COVID-19 crisis, no one was pushing vitamin D. Here's examples showing you that 2012, we knew that vitamin D was very important for helping out with respiratory illnesses. How do you now cancel that out and not even calculate that into how to help people today? Because someone's manipulating knowledge so you can't figure out how to help yourself. So artificial intelligence can be brain power. So me and my colleague, Niana Hokorossian, did a study on melanin and its antiviral effects. Me and my colleague, Torrance Stevens, talked about the hesitancy for people who want to do COVID injection. We talked about that. So we have to determine the narrative. We have to put our own science out. Do not depend on artificial intelligence because it can lead you down the wrong channel. Someone created the information for artificial intelligence to generate something. We must be in a position that we control the narrative. So in conclusion, do not let someone else tell your story. Control your narrative before AI distorts your truth. There are advantages using the technology, but you must supplement the information with primary sources that are research. So the books, gotta go to the books, gotta go to the literature. And most of us are scared to do that today. Wisely use your brain power before it permanently goes into sleep mode. The more you let AI or any mechanism generate thoughts and ideas for you, as you're in sleep mode, you're hindering your opportunity to grow your mind and build those neurons to be strong, especially in your latter years of life. So that's why education is so problematic today, because kids aren't expanding their mind. Lastly, do not resist the creative capacity you have within your brain cells. You will be stronger if you enjoy reading, writing, and expressing your thoughts. So, you're looking at this video, but I need you to find books to support what I'm saying, question what I'm saying, but have information that you can find to not so much support an idea, but find the right information. So, I would like for you to use this particular video to show how mental destruction happens by the use of artificial intelligence, because it's an opportunity for someone else to control your thinking. So maintain your power, and hopefully we can get better in appreciating education. Thank you.